Hi guys, you're welcome to Halogenius Ideas. Hardcoding API keys, database passwords, or your Django secret key in settings.py is a very huge security risk. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to properly secure your sensitive data using python-decouple, thereby keeping your credentials safe while still making them accessible to your Django application. Plus, we'll verify everything works with a simple test endpoint. So let's just get into it. I have a virtual environment over here that I've created before now, and let me open it in terminal. So this is my terminal. Let me activate my virtual environment. Okay, so now my virtual environment is active. What I want to do is to install Django and Python decouple. So pip install Django, then Python decouple. Okay, so I have it installed in my virtual environment already. That's why it's just saying requirement already satisfied. Now the next thing I want to do is to start a new Django project. So how can I start a new Django project? Django admin start project, and the name of the project is going to be server. Okay, so I have a new project. If you check my virtual environment over here, you can see the server over here. So let me just cd into server. I want to do this from scratch so you understand everything that is going on bit by bit. So let me open it using VS Code. Okay, so this is the server project opened in VS Code. Now, where do we go from here? The first thing we want to do is to create an env file that is going to be having all those the data we are trying to secure. How do you do that? So in this root folder where you have your manage.py and your server sub-server project, that is your sub project over here. Just the same directory where you have manage.py, come here and create .env, then you just enter the data you are trying to safeguard. So you can see the secret key, email host user, email host password, and all. But for this secret key, let me just use the Django secret key itself. Come to settings.py and copy this secret key. So let me just save it inside the env file. So this is the secret key, paste it there, and so this is the data that we are trying to safeguard. Now, just a note of warning, you must not push your env file to github. Okay, so how can you prevent that while pushing this particular project to your github repository? You want to create a .git ignore file. Then in this git ignore file, what you want to do is to just say .env. So when it is pushing it, it will not push the env. So just save it and let me close this. Now, how do we use all this our safeguarded data? How do we use it in our settings.py file? Very simple. You come here, you say from the couple import config. Okay, so I have this config over here. So it is this config that I'm going to be using to bring in all this safeguarded data that I have. So for example, instead of having this, I can just say config, then I just come here, copy secret key, then bring it here, and that is it, and that is it. So now that I have my secret key, under this debug, there is a way we are going to bring it in. I want to give it a default value of false. So just paste this over here. Now it will go to fetch the value of debug from this env file. Okay, and please make sure your env file is on the root folder. So but the default is going to be false, then it will cast whatever value it got from debug to a boolean. So you understand what is going on here. For this allowed host, I will leave it for now, then I'll show you why it is needed, particularly in production. You cannot leave your allowed host as an empty list while you are not in debug mode, but I'll just leave that for now. Then another thing that we might just want to bring in to spice up the tutorial are these values over here. So the email backend, let's say you want to create an SMTP whatsoever in Django, and this is supposed to be the host user email, then the host user password as well. So don't forget that this email host user and email host password both are coming from this place, okay, and the debug is coming from that side as well. So how can we test just to be sure that what we are doing so far is accurate and it's working fine? So apart from just safeguarding the data, you want to be sure that the data is accessible in your application. So how can we access the data now? We've accessed the data now. Just to be sure that this is working properly, I'll create a an app. Just the name of the app is going to be core. So Django, no, python manage.py stats app, then just call it core. Then okay, this is the app over here that have been created. So just come under views, and under my views I'll just add a couple of code over here. So what is happening over here, basically I have an endpoint over here. So I'm saying that if settings.debug is not true, that is, if we are not in debug mode, you are going to be returning a JSON response, not an HTTP response. A JSON response saying that in production you cannot access this data in production. You can only access them while you are in development. So let me save this. Now, how can I expose this particular function to a particular endpoint? I'll come here and under core create a urls.py file. Then in this urls.py file, I'll just come here and I will add a couple of lines of code over here. So you can see Django.urls or path. I have the URL patterns over here. Then the test environment. So this is just coming from, you can see this is coming from this particular views.py file over here. So for the URLs, I'll just save this one. Now for this particular URLs to be hooked into the project URLs, I have to come to server under urls.py, just come here, include, then after including it, I'll just say path, then I'll just have an empty string over here, then include um, core dot urls. It will automatically uh, detect this urls.py over here, py file over here. I believe you understand how that works. Now what we want to do, everything is working properly. Now just to verify it, we have to run our server. So to run the server, I'll just say python manage.py, then run server. So okay, so I'm running the server for the first time now. For me to be able to access that particular endpoint, because of the way the endpoint was structured, if you look closely in the urls .py file of the project, you can see that I have an empty string over here. That is to tell you that the root URL, then just route to core.urls. Now under core.urls, I'm having test env. So definitely I'm supposed to be having localhost slash whatever the root url is slash test env. Okay, so if I should enter this, let me pretty print it. You can see it's giving me a JSON response saying, if you come here under views, you see I'm showing a JSON response, not an HTTP response. That is why it's giving me JSON values here. So let me, so you can see the email host user test at example.com, then the debug mode and the secret key, but only the first 5 digits of the secret key. You can see the config secret key, only the first 5 characters is what I'm taking here. Then the rest, it will just give it these other characters over here. Now moving on, I want to show you what if I make a modification to this particular, to any data in this env file. I can just come here and say test hid email. Okay, so if I should try to reload this particular file over here, it will not give me the updated one. Since I made a modification to my env file, I will have to restart my server. So just restart the server. Then if I come back here and I reload it, you can see test hid example email at example.com. So that is what I'm having now. Okay, so you see everything works fine. That is how you can safeguard your data. But there's one last thing that I would want us to look through. Now the reason, if you check this particular view over here, the reason it is returning this particular data is because in my env file we are in debug mode. Now what if I set this to false? Okay, no, false. What if I set this to false and I try to access this particular, it will not have any effect because I have to restart my server. Okay, so coming here now to restart my server, I will not be able to restart my server simply because allowed hosts, you can see you must set settings of allowed host if debug is false. So for now I'll just come to settings, and under my allowed hosts, where is it, I'll just come here and put allow all for now. So if I should come back here and I try to restart the server now, you see everything is working now, but it's just saying that the allowed host is the reason it wasn't restarting the server initially. So come back here and reload. You see error, not allowed in production. Okay, not allowed in production. So okay, so you can see that this is not allowed in production because the debug value now, it is set to, you can see the debug is set to false. Okay, the debug is set to false, which means that we are not in debug mode anymore. We are in production mode now. So that is it basically. That is it basically. Thank you very much for staying to the end of the video. This is how you can safeguard your information in Python. Never expose your secrets or important data in your Django application. So with this tutorial, I believe you've learned how to securely manage your credentials using Python decouple. So thank you very much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments or you need any help with anything, the comment section is open. And don't forget to follow us on social media and share this video to as many as your colleagues that will need them. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next tutorial where I'm going to be showing you how to do this exactly using environmental variables. Okay, so thank you very much, and bye for now.